Hey gang, welcome back. My name is Marc LeBlanc. Welcome back to my shop. In this episode, what I'm going to be doing is to put this table together. So this is a dry fit. I've got all my legs, I've got my top that's upside down, I've got my middle posts over here. So I'm going to be determining the ideal angle. I want to confirm, I think it's 22.5 degrees. I need to confirm that. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is I need to measure the ideal width of the wood pieces between each of the posts. I'll be cutting those, making some decorative features on it, and then assembling it. It should be fun. Stick around. So I'm taking just one of these posts, and if you notice here, there is that joint line that we can see in the bottom. I'm going to put my piece roughly in the middle and make sure that both edges, both corners here touch the edge, and that the cut line is basically in the middle. So that should line up the post as close as possible to a center line on this this line right here. Now I've got my protractor. I've set it up to 22.5 degrees. Just gonna eyeball it, and sure enough, that's the angle that I need. You know, it's not perfectly laid out, but you know, that's what it's giving me. It's 22.5 degrees is the cut that I need to make on both sides of the piece. All right, so I'm back with two posts in position. What I've done is I've drawn a line along this edge and a line along this edge, and I've marked the corner of one of the posts that gives me the type of reveal. I think that this is a more than adequate reveal just on the edge. So I want to make sure that my point lines up over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this point, trace it back over here, and then I don't want the apron to start right from the edge. I want it to start a little bit inside, so I'll measure a slightly bigger difference, and I'll measure those two lines. Should be a piece of cake. So after measuring this point, which was about 1/2 centimeter, I transferred 1/2 centimeter here on my line, and then I started looking at the different distances, and I figured out that converting things to inches might be simpler at this point, so I put 1/2 inch reveal on each side. And now taking my ruler, it's giving me exactly 4 inches of distance between those 2 points. I'm not making this up. This is not meant to be, or I certainly did not expect things to be this kind of perfect, but I'm going at 4 inches. 4 inches for each of these pieces. I need 8 of them. Let's do them. I started by ripping a board of golden birch to 4 inches in width and cutting one of the edges to a 22.5 degree angle. Next, I flipped the board around, measured 4 inches from the cut line, and aligned the 4-inch mark on the cut line of the sacrificial fence. I then put a stop block, and I was ready to make multiple cuts. Making all those cuts was real easy. I just clamped the piece over onto my miter gauge, made a cut. For the first one, I confirmed with a measuring tape that I indeed had 4 inches. And then just flipping the board around continuously, I just made successive cuts and had all my pieces in no time. I decided to use biscuits to join the aprons to my legs. I just tilted the fence of my biscuit cutter to 22.5 degrees. For the legs, I brought the biscuit cutter back to 90 degrees and adjusted the height. And I used the exact same setup for the middle post. All right, well, this is kind of the moment of truth. I've cut biscuits in all of my pieces and all of my legs. And now I'm going to do a dry fit and see if this actually turns out to be a nice and regular shape. Wish me luck. Alright, so this is turning out to be a bit of a surprise. I was expecting more of a relief between the different edges. And it's maybe because my biscuits or my slots are a little too far in. Although I do like this reveal here on the side. That's actually quite nice, but I don't like the reveal that's on the edges. So what that means is I probably need to cut these middle pieces a little bit just so that I shrink the centerpiece. But other than that, from a shape point of view and all the angles, it's looking just absolutely perfect. I really like what I'm seeing right now. That's good, but we just need to make that adjustment. So I started by marking where my stop block was, removing it and replacing it about 1/2 centimeter in from the original line. Then it was just a question of taking each of the pieces and just resawing a little bit off using that new mark. So it looks like second time is a charm. After removing 1/2 centimeter on all of the apron pieces, I have got a reveal that is just elegant, subtle. So this is going to work. All right. Next step is to put some sort of decoration on these guys. They're a little plain right now. Let's see what we can do. I had an idea of what I wanted to do as decorations. I wasn't sure if it was going to work. So started with a prototype, and the prototype worked pretty darn well. So then I went into production. Started off by cutting 1 centimeter wide lats of golden birch, then going to my disc sander and sanding all the edges to make them nice and flush. I made this pattern of a star, kind of a Moroccan star, and I'm not sure if it really is a Moroccan star, but what I did is I printed that using PowerPoint and then cut out all the different pieces and applied some glue and cut these as stencils on top of each of my little lats. And then it was off to the bandsaw and cutting out the outline of the piece. So I wanted to cut out all the white space that you see on the stencil. And to do that, I was going to use my scroll saw. So here I am just cutting pilot holes and verifying that the blade is going to fit. Then went over to the scroll saw, passed the blade through one of the holes, and started cutting out the white space. In the end, it takes about 20 minutes to cut out the whole star and all the edges. You're going to see just the center being cut in one of the star points. The longest part was actually changing the blade, but in the end, these stars turned out really, really cool. It was then back to the disc sander to sand the faces nice and flush. And then using a Dremel multi-tool, I was able to sand some of the more obvious faces. This is taking a bit longer than expected. I'm going to need another episode. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. See you soon.